In early March 1968, the Soviet submarine K-129 suddenly stopped communicating in the heart of the Pacific Ocean. This was not just another military submarine. It carried 3 ballistic nuclear missiles, each powerful enough to destroy 50 Hiroshimas. The disappearance of such a strategic vessel instantly caused alarm and panic. Dozens of Soviet military ships and planes rushed to scour the dark, cold waters of the northern Pacific. The vast ocean seemed bottomless and endless. The search was like trying to find a needle in a haystack, except the haystack was millions of square kilometers of ocean abyss. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, yet K-129 did not appear on radar or radio. It seemed to have simply vanished. After 6 months, the Soviet Union officially ended the search. For the crew's families came a painful uncertainty. The fate of 98 sailors remained a mystery, along with the secret of the submarine itself. However, while the USSR lost hope, a very different story began in the secret offices of the American military. The CIA had long discovered the crash site of K-129 at nearly 5 kilometers deep, a place where no one dared to descend before, as raising 1,500 tons of metal from such depth seemed impossible. How did the Americans find what the Soviet Union lost? What happened to the submarine? And what incredible operation did the U.S. have to conduct to lift this massive military object from the ocean floor? These questions hide secrets, intrigues, and technological breakthroughs that remain some of the Cold War's most mysterious pages. This is the story of Operation Azorian. The late 1960s marked one of the most tense and dramatic periods of the Cold War. 2 superpowers, the Soviet Union and the United States, were constantly competing for technological and military dominance, each striving to secure itself and inflict maximum damage on the opponent in case of conflict. Nuclear submarines became key elements in this arms race, stealth carriers of powerful nuclear weapons capable of striking anywhere on the planet while remaining virtually undetected. The Soviet submarine K-129, built in the early 1960s, was one of the most advanced naval vessels of its time. It was not just a military ship, but a strategic asset of the USSR, carrying 3 ballistic nuclear missiles, each 60 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. These missiles were a formidable deterrent, guaranteeing a retaliatory strike in the event of nuclear war. Besides its weapons, the submarine was equipped with sophisticated coding and communication systems that allowed it to maintain contact with command without revealing its exact location. The commander of K-129 was Captain, First Rank, Vladimir Kobzir, an experienced sailor awarded the Order of the Red Star, who had completed several combat patrols. His deputy was Captain Second Rank Alexander Zhuravin, a young energetic officer destined to later lead the submarine. Life for submariners was harsh and full of risks. 2-month patrols in cramped, stuffy conditions, constant danger of accidents, and enemy detection. Their families, such as Zhuravin's wife Irina, grew accustomed to long separations and uncertainty since service on a submarine meant spending months away from home in total secrecy. Patrolling the Pacific was a story in itself. Submarines capable of diving hundreds of meters and traveling thousands of kilometers formed an invisible but deadly network around the U.S. coastline. They could quietly approach American bases and launch nuclear missiles if conflict broke out, while land-based missile complexes were vulnerable to preemptive strikes. Submarines served as a reliable safety mechanism, preventing either side from initiating nuclear catastrophe. The uniqueness of submarines lay in their ability to combine stealth with devastating power. However, operating these vessels was extremely complex. Diesel-electric engines required periodic surfacing to recharge batteries, making them vulnerable. Furthermore, radio communication necessary for receiving orders and transmitting information could be intercepted by the enemy, so it was used very cautiously and with complex encryption. Thus, K-129 was not just a ship, It was a symbol of military technical rivalry and living proof of how far both sides had gone in the race for supremacy. Every sea sortie was not just a patrol, but part of a global chess game with the fate of the world at stake. In this context, the disappearance of K-129 was not merely a tragedy. It was a potential catalyst for a global crisis. Understanding the significance of this submarine and its crew helps to grasp why the operation to search for and raise it from the ocean floor became one of the most ambitious and risky in Cold War history. In mid-February 1968, the Soviet submarine K-129 embarked on its latest patrol of the Pacific Ocean. On February 25th, it transmitted its last radio signal before going silent for 2 weeks. This was standard procedure for submarines during long missions. But when K-129 failed to communicate by March 8th, alarm began to grow. The Soviet military leadership, aware of the strategic importance of this nuclear-armed submarine, immediately launched unprecedented search operations. Over the following weeks and months, dozens of military ships, submarines, and aircraft scoured the cold, dark waters of the northern Pacific. The search area was enormous, more than 2 million square kilometers, roughly the size of France. Searching in these conditions was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Except this haystack was the vast and unpredictable ocean. The military used all available technologies: sonar, hydroacoustics, aerial surveillance, reconnaissance flights, and even submersibles to explore the ocean floor. But the ocean was an unpredictable and harsh environment. The depth in the suspected sinking area reached 5 kilometers, and weather conditions were often severe. Storms, strong currents, and low visibility hampered the search. Among the main hypotheses about K-129's disappearance were technical failures, such as fuel leaks or nuclear explosions, collisions with American submarines, or even sabotage. However, none of these theories could be confirmed without locating the submarine itself. Meanwhile, onshore, the crew's families lived in constant fear and uncertainty. For the wives, parents, and children of the sailors, each day of waiting was a painful ordeal. Their unofficial role, to keep the secret and avoid spreading panic, placed a heavy emotional burden on them. For many, uncertainty was worse than death, as they did not know if their loved ones were alive or what had happened to them. Despite official statements ending the search after 6 months, hope for a miracle never faded. The Soviet military leadership understood that losing a nuclear submarine was not just a technical incident, but a strategic disaster, a threat to national security and the country's image. However, without data and unable to locate the vessel, further actions were limited. This dramatic episode marked the beginning of one of the Cold War's most mysterious and ambitious operations, an attempt not just to find, but to raise a Soviet submarine from the ocean floor, hiding secrets and weapons that could alter the global balance of power. While the Soviet Union desperately searched for its missing submarine, a very different story was unfolding at the Pentagon and CIA. A story of secret intelligence operations and large-scale espionage. American experts carefully analyzed data from hydrophones, underwater microphones placed on the ocean floor along the U.S. coastline, that recorded sounds of movement and events in the depths. In March 1968, a reanalysis of hydrophone recordings detected an anomalous sound, a powerful underwater explosion unlike any natural phenomenon or missile launch. The coordinates of this explosion were roughly between the Kamchatka Peninsula and the Hawaiian Islands, right along the suspected route of K-129. This event drew special attention from the Pentagon's Secret Naval Operations Department, which handled underwater reconnaissance and intelligence gathering on Soviet submarines. For further investigation, the military deployed the submarine Halley, converted into an oceanographic research vessel equipped with powerful sonar and photographic equipment. In July 1968, Halley descended into the Pacific Ocean floor, and after 2 months captured the first black-and-white photographs of K-129's wreckage. The images clearly showed the submarine resting on the ocean floor, split into 2 large sections, but largely intact. Locating the Soviet submarine marked a turning point for American military and intelligence agencies. They faced the decision of what to do with this unique and strategically valuable asset. Soon, John Paragonsky, a seasoned CIA officer with deep expertise in underwater technology and reconnaissance missions, was appointed leader of the operation to raise K-129. Paragonsky was the ideal candidate to organize this highly complex and ultra-secret mission. However, the idea of stealing an entire Soviet submarine with its nuclear weapons and secret codes caused serious concerns even within the U.S. military leadership. Many defense officials viewed the operation as too risky, expensive, and potentially provoking open military conflict. From the perspective of international law and diplomacy, such an act would appear as a direct attack, theft of an enemy's military asset, risking escalation and even nuclear war. Despite these concerns, others saw Operation Azorian as a unique opportunity to obtain priceless military and technical secrets. They argued that the intelligence gained would enable the U.S. to surpass the Soviet Union in submarine technology and nuclear arsenal, providing strategic advantage in the global power struggle. Consequently, serious disputes and conflicts arose between opponents and supporters of the operation at the highest levels of American government. Successful execution required not only technical innovation, but absolute secrecy. Mission details were to be known only by a select few. Thus began one of the most ambitious and risky intelligence operations of the 20th century, Operation Azorian, during which the CIA and U.S. military developed previously unthinkable technologies and strategies to raise the Soviet submarine from the ocean floor and access its secrets. Project Azorian was a true technological challenge and an engineering masterpiece requiring entirely new solutions and massive secret cover-up. To disguise the operation, Americans created a legend, building and operating a giant ship to mine manganese, a valuable mineral found in deep ocean deposits. This ruse hid the mission's true goals from Soviet intelligence and the public. A key player in the project was famous billionaire and adventurer Howard Hughes. His company and powerful connections played a decisive role in financing and creating the necessary infrastructure. For building the ship, Global Marine was hired, a company experienced in drilling platforms and oceanographic vessels. However, the task was unprecedented. To build a ship capable of raising a Soviet submarine weighing over 1,500 tons from nearly 5 kilometers deep. Design and construction of the Explorer took about 4 years, during which engineers solved unique challenges. One main challenge was ensuring the ship's stability during deep water lifting. Waves and currents in the open ocean caused constant movement, risking the operation's failure. To address this, an innovative gimbal system was developed, a unique stabilization mechanism that allowed the ship to virtually stand still even in stormy weather. This system controlled the hull's position, compensating for water movement and ensuring the precise and safe raising of the submarine. Project secrecy reached near paranoid levels. Mission details were known only to a small group of senior CIA officials and company leaders. To create the appearance of a legitimate commercial enterprise, hundreds of ordinary sailors and specialists worked on the ship. Most unaware of the true mission, the CIA thoroughly vetted every crew member to prevent information leaks. Special attention was paid to the crew's psychological preparation. Sailors learned basic Russian to understand labels and warnings on the Soviet sub, and trained for emergencies involving radioactive materials and deceased bodies. Additionally, the crew faced unique moral and emotional challenges. They knew they might raise remains of Soviet sailors and prepared to work under high stress and moral tension. Many later noted that the mission's secrecy and gravity created a special atmosphere of unity and responsibility. The Explorer was a technological revolution, a huge ship nearly 180 meters long with giant hull doors through which a complex claw and cable system could deploy to grab and raise the submarine. This device, controlled by advanced computers and electronics of the time, was designed to carefully seize K-129 on the ocean floor and bring it to the surface. Project Azorian combined engineering genius, political cunning, and unprecedented secrecy, enabling the CIA to conduct one of the boldest operations in intelligence and technology history. Despite enormous risks, the Explorer team was ready to challenge the ocean and history to achieve their goal. In the summer of 1974, the operation to raise the Soviet submarine K-129 entered its most tense and critical phase. After years of preparation and construction, the ship Explorer finally set out into the open ocean to carry out one of the most ambitious and risky missions in intelligence history. Raising a submarine from nearly 5 kilometers deep required extreme care and patience. Every movement of the claws and cables was controlled by complex computer systems, and the slightest mistake could cause mission failure. The raising process was very slow. Due to the submarine's weight and size, as well as ocean currents and waves, the team faced numerous technical difficulties. After several days, one of the claws, a complex gripping device, broke under load. As a result, about 2/3 of the K-129's hull separated and remained on the ocean floor, with only part of the submarine lifted to the surface. This was a serious blow to the operation because the lost parts included the most valuable and secret elements: nuclear missiles, encryption equipment, and other technological secrets. Nevertheless, the recovered section held immense scientific and military value, promising unique insights into Soviet technology and capabilities. Tension aboard the Explorer increased when a Soviet reconnaissance tugboat was spotted nearby. This small vessel regularly circled near the Explorer, causing anxiety among the American crew who feared the Soviets might try to board or sabotage the mission. For almost 2 weeks, the tug remained in sight, adding psychological pressure. One of the most unusual and memorable moments occurred when the Soviet sailors on the tug, seemingly in response to the tension, turned their backs to the Americans and defiantly dropped their pants, revealing dozens of white buttocks. This unexpected act of humor and defiance caused laughter and briefly eased the atmosphere, becoming a symbol of the Cold War, hidden but full of human emotions. Meanwhile, the raised section of the submarine was carefully dismantled and studied on board. Special attention was paid to radiation control, since K-129 carried nuclear missiles and posed potential radioactive hazards. Experts categorized the recovered materials, technical components, documentation, and the remains of deceased sailors. Though only part of the submarine was recovered, the findings contained valuable information about Soviet technology and equipment. The memory of the fallen crew remained alive. Near the coast of the Hawaiian Islands, a funeral was held for 6 Soviet sailors whose remains were identified among those raised from the ocean floor. The ceremony included honors such as the raising of the Soviet flag and was filled with deep respect and mourning. Even amid political confrontation and secrecy, humanity and remembrance of lost lives were important parts of this story. Operation Azorian demonstrated not only technical achievements and strategic ambitions, but also the complex human side of the Cold War, where technology and politics intersected with tragedy, hope, and emotional experience. Despite partial success and the loss of a significant part of the submarine, this mission remains one of the most impressive episodes of the era. Operation Azorian was not just one of the Cold War's most ambitious intelligence missions. It demonstrated a unique blend of technical achievements, political risks, and human determination. The scale and complexity of the operation showed how far the U.S. was willing to go to gain a strategic advantage over the Soviet Union. Raising the Soviet submarine from nearly 5 kilometers deep, weighing about 1,500 tons, required not only engineering genius, but flawless coordination, secrecy, and composure. After the partial success of Operation Azorian, the Americans began preparing the next phase, Operation Matador, intended to complete the job by raising the remaining part of K-129, believed to hold the main military secrets. nuclear missiles, and encryption codes. However, the plans were thwarted when details of the mission leaked to the press. The resulting public outcry forced the U.S. government to abandon the continuation of the mission due to fears of escalating conflict and further exposure. The Soviet Union officially remained silent, avoiding public comment on the leaks and U.S. actions. Internally, Soviet diplomatic agencies protested through closed channels, expressing concern over interference and violations of international law. For the Soviet side, the incident was delicate and painful, but open reaction could have implied vulnerability and defeat. Secrecy around Operation Azorian was so strict that the CIA neither confirmed nor denied its existence for many years. The phrase, "we can neither confirm nor deny," became a meme and symbol of American intelligence secrecy, highlighting the dual nature of information policy and national security caution. The main question remains open. How successful was the operation? Though only part of the submarine was raised and the main secrets remained on the ocean floor, the execution of such a grand project proved technological superiority and willingness to take great risks. It was a breakthrough in deep-sea technology, secrecy, and intelligence comparable in scale to space programs. Many experts truly compare Azorian to the moon landing. This story is not just about technology and espionage, but about the delicate balance between military necessity and diplomatic caution, between heroism and danger, knowledge and secrecy. Operation Azorian forever entered history as one of the boldest, most technologically advanced, and dramatic episodes of the Cold War, reminding us how fragile and tense the world was during the nuclear standoff era. The story of the submarine K-129 is not just about a lost military vessel and a secret CIA operation. It is an example of how technology, risk, and politics intertwined in one of the most tense episodes of the Cold War. The fate of this submarine and its crew reflects the complex balance between the desire for security and the necessity of making bold decisions for knowledge and strategic advantage. Operation Azorian showed how far both superpowers were willing to go to maintain or gain advantage in the nuclear race. This is a story about a man and a machine, about secrets hidden in the ocean depths, and about those who risked everything, their careers, freedom, and even lives, for them. Now, a question for you, dear viewers. What matters more to you? Absolute safety and caution, or risk that could lead to new knowledge and breakthroughs? Is it worth taking dangerous steps to reveal secrets and strengthen peace? Share your opinion in the comments. Your voice is very important to us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to not miss new fascinating stories about the mysteries and secrets of the Cold War. Share this video with friends. Let more people learn about incredible events of the past that continue to affect our present. In the next video, we will tell about other secret operations and mysteries of the Cold War era. Get ready for even more thrilling stories full of secrets, intrigue, and unsolved histories.